And that's when you can really see that he came up through the ranks of being a graffiti artist. I mean, his control with a spray can is just unbelievable. It's almost like he had a marker and he just made a line. It's that straight and it's that clean. And there's no like fuzzy edges or anything. He just gets up there and uses it like an extension of his own hand.
Well, I knew it was going to be like 4 panels. I thought they'd be a lot smaller, but it's nice that they're big actually. And I brought a big pack of sketches with me, and we discussed like, all right, well, what shall we do? And Frank, the art director, had some ideas like, yeah, maybe this and that.
I always kind of have some idea, you know, I cut stencils and bring some Xeroxes and bring some stuff, but I don't know exactly how it's going to end up. Especially when you're working with 3 other artists, you're going to be going over top of somebody's stuff and, you know, working with someone's stuff. It's kind of a process-oriented thing.
A little bit of pre-planning, but mostly it's just free form. We knew we wanted to put Boris's city, almost this cubist cityscape thing, as the main element that ties all 4 panels together, and then everybody else's work will kind of just live around that.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, the stuff I do tends to come out kind of evil. I guess I got some evilness in me. My stuff is more like a little more sinister than what Mike does, and Delta's got that, you know, the whole dimensional thing going on, which no one can really compete with. And Frank, his like collage stuff, man, is just gritty and raw, and it's like, it's got a lot of vibe to it.
We use everything from spray paint to house paints, acrylics, Xeroxes, paste, wheat paste on the Xeroxes, pretty much everything.
The point when we did the art day, the music was close, but the lyrics weren't there yet. They kind of were progressing together. We had an idea of what the music was going to sound like. We didn't really have an idea of what the lyrics were going to be like. So as you can see on the piece, you've got like scribbled lyrics and words like cuidado and all these things that Chester was writing. When you look at those little lyrics and the words that are there, you'll notice that most of them aren't on the album anymore when you listen to it. And I think that's really represents what we were doing.
Well, I think the big mystery behind music is like where it comes from within a person. It's no mystery how music gets made and how music is recorded. Everybody knows how that's done. Everybody knows there's a process to that. What's always the eternal mystery is how do they do it? How do you come up with these kinds of sounds? How did you think about creating this type of art for a package? That's where the mystery will always be, because you can't give that away. There's no like blueprint to creativity or talent.
It's cool how all these different styles can get together, you know, and to become one thing. That's kind of like what we do with our music.
We'll start with a song and start with a sampled beat and we add guitar on it. You get all that stuff together and say you do vocals last. That vocal may just require that you need to change the samples and guitar, which is the thing that you started out with. But you got to be flexible and willing to throw half the song away if you're going to make it good.
You know, the original idea may not sound like what it turns out to be, you know. And that's kind of the idea with this.
I think we do kind of stay out of each other's way at certain points, you know. If somebody's kind of on a roll, whether it's music or it's what we're doing here today, and you know to let that person have some space until they get that idea done. You see the momentum, and they start to really have something, and you can just let them do it. We'll see some of that happen in the studio, too. We'll see that soon.
For me, this is kind of like a first-time thing, working like this, with layers of different styles and techniques. Really nice. Lots of times I worked with other graffiti artists, basically with spray paint, and then it's a totally different result. It's all really kind of nice the way it like gradually goes from one theme in the other.
I want to show how the music comes out. I want to show how the artwork is made, and those little, like that little soldier that everybody saw from the first album. They saw the soldier, but they didn't see, you know, us looking through all these books, trying to figure out how we wanted to present ourselves for the first time ever in the world, and sketching little soldiers and turning it into a stencil and spray painting it on a wall and scanning that in the computer and manipulating it. You know, there's a lot of work that always goes into all these things, and I think it's a really cool thing. As different parts of the whole thing evolve, inevitably you've got to change some of the stuff you did earlier.
You never regret covering up something because, you know, it adds to the whole. You know, it's there. It's just, you just can't see it right now.
We're just trying to kind of make it a little more consistent between the 4 panels. As soon as we put black fields on the first panel, we knew we had to start adding black on 2, 3, and 4 as well.
I don't know. I think it's still kind of evolving too. I really like everything. I think it came together pretty nice.
We feel like we're just getting started, you know. I mean, I know there people have put a lot of pressure on the position we're in with the album, but we're not, you know, we're young guys and we want to do a lot of different things. So work in progress was kind of the theme that came out of it. That's basically the starting point of this whole piece. It's not about like the finished thing, it's about how it gets there. As much as we can do that with this album, show that evolution, we will.
I guess when the balance is right, when it's like well balanced, like weight wise, like color, that ties it together. I think, you know, like all these different shapes and forms, the color ties it together more or less. We could go on for a long time, you know. It's hard to say like, right, it's finished now, don't do anything more.
We could keep working on this thing for another 3 days probably, but I think once it gets to a point where, you know, either we have to stop because of time, or you know, you kind of just get to a point where it's like it feels right and you can just stop.
I think the reason that it still was a work in progress, even though we were finished painting on it, at that point, the piece was, we aren't going to paint on it anymore for the purposes of this album, but then we take all the photos and things that we captured, and then those get worked on in the computer and get type added on them and get put in an album, and then it evokes some kind of emotion or idea in the person that looks at it, and then it's done. When it gets into the kid who buys the CD, that's when it's finished.
Referring to this day,